Examining phylum Chordata, we have thus far covered all of the invertebrates in the clade. That means it's time to start examining the vertebrates. There are more than 78,000 species of vertebrates on Earth. The vertebrates are all the animals within the subphylum Vertebrata. This means the jawless fish, such as the lampreys and hagfish, and jawed vertebrates, which include the cartilaginous fish, like sharks and rays, and the bony fish, meaning the ray-finned fish, the lobe-finned fish, and all the tetrapods. Together, the vertebrates are a monophyletic group of chordates, all of which have a vertebral column as adults. The vertebral column is also known as the backbone or spine, and is part of the axial column. It is a segmented series of bones that replaces the ancestral chordate notochord, which is a flexible column of nearly uniform composition. It is comprised of a series of vertebrae separated by intervertebral discs, and it houses the spinal canal, a cavity which encloses and protects the spinal cord. All vertebrates share a common ancestor dating back to about 510 million years ago, and they have since diversified into many different forms. Since most have a mineralized skeleton, their fossil record is rich, especially compared to some of the soft-bodied animals, like the flatworms. They range in size from the microhylid frogs that are less than 8 millimeters in length, all the way up to the blue whale, which can grow to nearly 30 meters, or 98 feet in length, and weigh more than 200 tons. So vertebrates are essentially animals with a backbone, from the jawless fish to the sharks to the mammals and birds, and all the members in between. Since the term is monophyletic, it refers to a specific clade of Animalia. However, the term invertebrate is far less diagnostic. Invertebrates are all animals that lack a vertebral column. Going back to our cladogram of all animal phyla, this includes all animals outside of the phylum Chordata, and even a few members of animals within the phylum Chordata, such as the sea squirts. However, unlike the vertebrates, the invertebrates are not all closely related, since the term is paraphyletic and encompasses extremely distantly related animals. So the term invertebrate doesn't really explain much. It just means that the animal doesn't have a vertebral column. So the sponges of phylum Porifera are invertebrates, as are the tunicates of phylum Chordata. However, this doesn't say anything about common ancestry. Tunicates are more closely related to dogs than they are to sponges. They may look more like sponges, but they share very few characteristics with them. Tunicates are, after all, chordates. They're in the same phylum as vertebrates, but they are considered to be invertebrates simply because they lack a vertebral column. To quickly review, the term vertebrate is a common name for all members of subphylum Vertebrata. The vertebrates are a monophyletic group that all have a vertebral column as their defining characteristic. Meanwhile, the term invertebrate is just a general word that essentially refers to all animals that are not vertebrates, which is a paraphyletic group that contains the overwhelming majority of all animal species. This may seem like an obvious distinction, but it will be helpful moving forward as we begin to examine vertebrate diversity. So let's move forward and begin to do precisely that.